let's talk about depression. Hey, I'm JoeySooch. I hope you guys are doing fabulous today. I want to be clear with you guys. I was never officially diagnosed with depression. With that being said, I was depressed a lot of times and was recommended to start taking pills by licensed people. I've been through tons of valleys and really dark moments, but more on that later. Let's talk what it is so we are on the same page. So depression is basically being sad for long periods of time. It gets way more complicated than that. It is not only just feeling sad, but you lose interest in everything, even things you're most passionate about. Depression can come in many forms. You could be walking among people who are diagnosed and not even know it. There are some who even take medicine for how crippling depression can be. Depending on the doctor's discretion, you could just take it to get out of the suicidal stage, or just being able to just live life and keep working your job and to keep life moving. Life is always moving. Depression is also not consistent, and sometimes it's unexplainable. It could be bad weather, or something that recently happened, or even something that happened 5 or even 10 years ago. It can come and go. Some days you can have really good days, but also really bad days. It is super psychological, and sometimes your brain just wants to fuck with you. Could be trying to go to sleep, and your brain just wants to bring something traumatic that happened years ago, and you are just like, not now. I mean, everybody experiences these kind of thoughts, but for people who have a lot of mental trauma, it can really affect them in so many ways. With mild forms, it is easier to fight, but then it starts to get severe, it overtakes you. It's like falling deep in the ocean in the darkness. You can't shake the feeling off, and it just never goes away. Some symptoms include sleeping really long hours and still feeling tired, or wanting to never get up. You'll sleep and wake up and kind of feel good, but you don't want to live right now, so you sleep a few more hours to pass the time. If you don't have responsibilities or have a set schedule, like working or school, your sleeping pattern is completely messed up. Now you can go to bed later, and eventually you can have a regular sleeping pattern, or you wake up early like a normal person. But in a depressive state, the day gets long and you take a nap to pass the time, and it ruins your sleeping pattern again. If you have no plans or responsibility, or they can be done later, then why not? From an outside perspective, it's like, oh no! But like, you don't care. You are tired and just want to sleep, or pass time, or you are hurting inside and don't want to feel pain for a few hours, just hoping it goes away on its own. The pain disappears when you sleep, and for a minute after you sleep, you feel great, and reality hits and a dark cloud just comes over you again. Rinse and repeat. Another thing is losing interest in everything. I mean everything, even your most passionate things. Like, I was really into video games, but then I stopped. Liked watching shows, and I just stopped too. You just start losing interest and have no idea what is happening, and after watching 3 episodes, you just zone out. I mean, I know people who watch 3 episodes and they are on the phone or distracted by something else, or really have no idea what's happening. I'm looking at you, Game of Thrones. Sometimes you just stare at nothing for 8 hours, contemplating suicide or really dark thoughts. Sometimes you just think of nothing and just staring, waiting for something to change or things to get better, or somebody to come and just end it. You have so much time to think about everything and anything. Every negative thought is exacerbated 20 times over. You put so much blame onto yourself for every bad thing you did, whether it's your fault or not. It gets really overwhelming. It's like you are in the ocean, keep getting further and further away from shore, and struggling to keep your head above water. You hear silence. You hear silence from the outside, but a small buzzing or humming inside your head. You heard it before. You know when you're watching a movie or a TV show where somebody will shoot somebody else and everything just goes silent, and just hear that buzz or hum, and everything is in slow motion? Eventually you just snap out of it and everything resets into real time. Having depression causes a lot of difficulty just doing Monday tasks, such as getting out of bed, just being weak and not wanting to do anything, just the bare minimum. You obviously have the physical strength, but you're just psychologically weak. You will use your body when you absolutely have to, such as going to the bathroom or even doing a full day of work. But then you come home, take a deep breath, and fall into a depressive state again. You put a lot of work on the outside so people wouldn't know what you are dealing with because you can't show that you are weak or have mental issues. If you can hide them, or you really need a job, or taking classes to not let people down, whether it's your family or even a small part of you down. A small part of you wants to get better, so you do it for that small part. It's like you got into this depression state. You will be able to get out, right? Things will get better, hopefully, right? Gotta do X, Y, and Z for me. It's way better doing that, X, Y, or Z, than doing nothing. Maybe you'll be distracted for a while, and maybe something will change. Life can change drastically in a second, for both good and for bad. You can have a change in personality. Maybe you don't notice this since you're in it, but people that care about you definitely do. Being closed off and being uninterested in it. You could possibly not show it to anybody, so you don't have people worrying about you. It's a consistent thing, so it could be hard to know unless you are really involved in their life. Could also include anxiety and panic attacks. Those are awful too. There's a lot of shaking, more like tremors, with a high heart rate and a ton of energy that just needs to be released. Can get really hot or really cold. Some just need to sit down and be alone and to remove themselves from the situation and our people. You have to concentrate on getting your breathing back and control and reaching back to your baseline. Trying to calm themselves down, whether it's listening to music or doing self-breathing exercises or just calling someone or near you to get you through this. It could last a few minutes or a few hours even. I am sure everyone had one or two, but if it happens often, then there is definitely a problem because it can really affect your day to day. I do get them at times, but I will talk about them in a little bit. Depression can cause other problems that are much more tangible and easy to see from an outsider. Some people just start to become hoarders or really messy, and that's it. They could appear to dress well and such, but once the door closes to their room or apartment or house, I am talking to mostly millennials, we both know we don't have our own houses. Some people just start eating more and more till they get really fat, or some just stop eating and lose a lot of weight. The deeper you are in depression, the harder it is to get out. Depression takes a medium to extreme measures. So if you have a messy room, it's not like, oh my god, I have depression. It's a group of symptoms put together and diagnosed by a licensed therapist. Depression can't be diagnosed by a blood test or even a 1-hour conversation. Just admitting you have depression or think you have depression is a huge step into actually getting better. It can be a huge and long journey, but just the motivation to just want to be better is a huge step. And if you are in those steps, then I am so proud of you. I am in a clear state of mind, and I know how hard it can be to open your wounds up and expose your insecurities, but please keep going till you feel better. You will feel so much worse, but you will feel so much better in the long run. I don't want you to keep hurting yourself because of yourself. Forget everyone around you. If they don't want to be around you at your worst, then why would you want them at your best? In the end, you are with yourself 24/7. If people are hurting you, then please try to remove them from your life. This is your only life, and let's try to live the happiest we can be. Some people are in depressive fits for a shorter period of time and can get out. You could say they have depression, or a lot of people will nonchalantly say, I have depression, and still go on with their days. Some may have mild forms of depression. For a lot, they don't really know what depression feels like. I will even come out and say it, that I have a very unique case of depression. In my life, I went through valleys of depressive states and somehow got out of it mostly. Some days can go really bad, but that's just how much my situation is, and can I really change it, no matter how hard I try. There are so many factors of getting depression. I think some are more likely to get depression due to their genetics. It could also due to their personalities and how they cope with their problems. It could be how dramatic their one dark moment was, or if it was a string of events. What they did after the events. Did they go to therapy or just get deep into drugs and alcohol? Did they face the problems head on or just avoid it? Some can have their life turned upside down, while others just wake up the next day like nothing ever happened. I am in a very unique situation where I had 5 to 10 major events where my life just took a huge detour. For those who don't know, I have a rare disease called FOP, where I would get swelling called flares all over my body, and bones would start forming and growing and lock my body into place. The flares can be caused by trauma or out of the blue. Most of mine came out of the blue. So me growing up, the first most apparent life event was losing the movement of my arms. I was like 8ish at that time. I didn't know what was happening. I thought I was just normal. I probably thought that it was weird. Last week I could reach across the table, but now I can't. I thought nothing of it and just did other things to complete my goal. So I just walked to the other side of the table and grabbed whatever I wanted to grab. As I got older, I realized that something is truly wrong with me, physically. I was in a lot of pain. When I was going through puberty, my body just wanted to get bigger and taller, but couldn't. I was in a body prison. My scoliosis was really forming, and it was turning into a monster. A monster that I had completely no control of. I wasn't going to get better, but even worse. But nobody could do anything about it. I literally had nobody to go to. I was the one that talked to my English teacher or my other teachers. I wanted to feel validated and somewhat appreciated and just somebody to talk to. Going to school was the only interaction that I had. I mean, I had other people that I went with, and we hung out at lunch and stuff, but outside of school was pretty non-existent. Others were having fun and mingling with people and exploring themselves while I was trying to keep it together. If I had a crystal ball of what was going to be in 10 years, I'd never be out of the depression state, and probably dead. Every failed relationship or being ghosted or being truly alone, I always felt it was my fault. My logic was that I didn't try hard enough, or it wasn't funny enough, or interesting enough, or it was really my disability that deterred people and how ugly I am. For every failed relationship, and this time I had to try even harder to be funnier, more well-liked, more engaging, talk better, more effort, be better, stronger, more knowledgeable on a whole group of topics to compensate for all of this. I spent years hating myself because no matter what I did, I was still alone. People seemed to like me, but at the end of the day, I was still very much alone. Everybody else had hit that I could never accomplish. Talking of good times on the weekend, or talking to multiple people at once, or to be in contact with people. I had to hustle because no one would even dare approach me or have my back. I was always the lone wolf. It created a huge depression where nobody really liked me. Couldn't care if I was there or not. I didn't want to go home because I was miserable there too. I just went to the park and cried, or stared out into the ocean, or just walked around the city. I was an idiot of some places I've been to because I could have been robbed or kidnapped. I got out of the depression just hoping I was in a bad environment, and college is just so much different. You know how college is the best time of our lives. I was hoping that maybe it would be different, but it was definitely not. It was really bad in different ways. I was still running into the same problem, that people like me and such, but at the end of the day, nobody cared if I was around them. I had no interest in trying to form more of a relationship outside of just seeing each other in a classroom or hallway or dining hall. You could say I was not being aggressive enough, or maybe passive, but I wanted to meet people organically and just didn't want to get a person's number just to give the impression that I wanted to sleep with them or bother them. I felt people were just being nice, but didn't want to commit fully to the friendship. I felt like a bother all my life and still carry on to that day. I wanted to be friendly with people and interested in their lives, but the other person was just not interested. The conversation would just be one-sided, and it wouldn't go anywhere. And I was half secure in myself because I knew my disability still played a huge role, and still had to compensate really hard and hustle. Then I had a huge flare in my hip. I won't go into all the details. I made a whole video on that. Video in the description below. The synopsis is that I went to complete hell on earth both physically and mentally, and that was really my darkest moments. I was trying to keep myself going and hope things would get better, but it would be way worse. I had nobody to go to. I was able to walk without any trouble before, and now in a wheelchair. Some did help and I really appreciated them, but I didn't have enough time to form relationships, or if there was even a chance to create one. It's harder to ask someone cold for help versus someone who's in constant contact. Once again, I had no one to go to. I just cried for a year straight, and I had to try so hard to keep things together and keep my composure. I was fucking shattered on the inside. I lost interest in everything. I was really at my worst then. If people didn't like me when I was physically in a better place then, the chances of them liking me now is even lower or basically zero. I just kept thinking if life worth it anymore. I keep running into the same problems of feeling alone and not feeling wanted, and just fighting for my life to stay afloat. I am not mad at anyone. I was just really mad at myself because it was me the cause to all my problems. I literally do anything to make it go away. Only death can though. I was in a depressive state, but I saw logically. All the evidence showed that I wasn't being liked or cared or appreciated. Everyone rather hang out with other people. All the pain was being caused by me. Couldn't walk because of me. Even if I wanted to get out of bed, I couldn't. It wasn't a conspiracy, it was facts. I had to do the hip flare again, which lasted 2 years. A few years later, what's unique with my disease and depression is that I am extremely limited with everything. If I am having a panic attack, I can't walk away because I physically can't walk away. I can't walk away from my problems anyways because the problem is me. I can't burn my excess energy because I can't exercise or barely move, even though my body wants to psychologically do it. My body is screaming at me to get out and abort mission, but I can't. I have to confront my fears and anxiety and insecurity head on every single fucking time. I am in a constant state of loss, whether it's losing my arms or neck or shoulder or being able to walk a little or now none at all. It's easier to have one event and to grow from there, but I keep going deeper and deeper with loss and mental trauma. I literally have no one to blame or yell or show frustration but myself. The problems are my fault. I am forced to deal with the reality of my loss and despair and things going out of control, head on every single time. I can't yell at anyone because I can't burn that bridge, because I know I will need that person. I just can't get up and be self-reliant to myself because I need people to survive, and it's truly hard to make friends and keep people around who have your best care at heart. I can't yell because of my limited lung capacity, or I will start to call. I can't get really angry or really stressed because I may cause more damage to me that's irreversible. I can't show anger in regular situations because of my disability, because I am not taken seriously enough as a person. I become too out of touch and to accept the situation, and it is what it is. I literally can't get out of bed because I can't walk without assistance. I can't eat because I physically can't eat through my mouth, so I can't be comforted by food. My throat doesn't work, so I have a tube in my stomach, so I have food to keep my body satisfied. I don't have access to drugs or alcohol because nobody wants to give it to me. I am held up to a much higher standard of how to cope with my life and be on point with my personality. But then you wonder why some disability people have somewhat weird personalities or weird tendencies how to cope. If I wanted to seize the day and if people around me say no, then I can't. There is no silver lining with me. I will continue to get worse. I don't have a traumatic event to reflect on. I have 20. While I am still grieving on trying to cope with a loss, something else gets lost. Plus with life going, it just never ends. I keep going in a vicious spiral. I can't control people or society of how they feel. Remember me saying I hate myself for so many years? I love myself. I love my personality and how all my traumatic events have made me the person I am today. I love how empathetic and understanding and dope I am. How I am curious and outgoing and being socially aware. Yes, I have my insecurity and red flags too, but I am human. I want to be that person where someone will look at me and be like, damn, I wish I had that in my life, but I screwed up. It would suck to be my ex. With all that being said, I hate my body with a passion. No matter what I do, it will always be a deterrent. I will always have to hustle and compensate, but I am secure in myself and know what I bring to the table. If you don't like me or don't want to be friends with me, then that sounds like a personal issue. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.